Well, well. So, my sister got a DNA test back. I've only seen this one, and then, about a week later, she goes and springs the good one on me. That actually shows how much from each parent. Um, I didn't know they could do that. I thought they could only just say, well, you're like this, and your parents, you're going to have to work it out for yourself. For 20 years, I was told I was part Spanish, and then my uncle even said that his mother, we're talking about on my father's side, that there's some Spanish. I thought it was on my mother's side, and then I hear it's on my father's side as well. And I've sat there thinking this for like 20 years now. Hmm. Where's the Spanish? There is none. So, I sort of think that maybe because my uncle was learning Spanish in high school, he was not giving a shit, and Grandmammy said a couple of lies to encourage him. Then I find out in recent weeks that no, you got it all wrong. That Spanish isn't. It was someone born in Spain, but they're actually Basque. Now, if you talk about certain things about certain ethnic groups, it can be considered disinformation and have your videos taken down and all this stuff. Yeah, if you talk about that lung problem that kept us all locked up for 2 years and that, nah, misinformation. You say anything about the residents that are the majority populace of Israel, nah. But you want to talk about the Basque, you can come out with as many fucked up whack theories as you want, including because they have the highest amount of negative blood types in the world in their population, they must be where negative blood types come from. And some people say that's the original blood type, O negative, which is what my sister happens to be. So we're going, well, there's a chance there, that's. And some of the Basque have an extra vertebrae if they've got O negative blood. Well, you can literally go on TV, Ancient Aliens, and claim that it means the Basque had sex with aliens. Or, you know how there's Aztecs in South America? You can claim that the Basque people are really the Aztecs from Atlantis. Oh, hang on a minute. They've since found the Eye of the Sahara is most likely Atlantis because the sea did come in there and it was wiped out by a tsunami. And it matches the 7 rings of walls around the city, and there's salt all over the place, and they finally established that's probably what Atlantis was. But you're telling me there was never mind human sacrifice in South America with big pyramids to the sun god. You're saying the Aztecs were from Atlantis, and those people that apparently all got wiped out and went under the ocean have somehow escaped and become the Basque. I mean, God blimey. The Aztecs from Atlantis are the Basque. Oh, fuck me. The amount of dog shit out there about Basque people who are believed to actually be the original Europeans. All the other Europeans, are tribes who come from somewhere else and moved around a lot, and the Basque have been the first and foremost, the original Europeans. They're well established and only first entered modern history when the Romans come across them. Particularly the Roman army is helping the Carpathians, which I think are like Moroccans or Libyans or somewhere up there. But yeah, alas, no Basque. Otherwise, that would be brutally obvious, and it should be about 3.6%. There's a relative of my mother's, it's my mother's cousin, who is right into this stuff and has been for a long time, and she has said that no, she wasn't Basque at all. And some people say she is, but you look at the last name and it's a Scottish last name. Garraway. Very Scottish. I think there's a Scottish celebrity with the last name of Garraway. Yeah. So, yeah. Having said that, I can say my father is English from Devonshire. So when you're eating that disgusting blimmin' chicken and bloody wheat flour Devon roll that's like polony, well, as I eat it because it's damn cheap, it's come exactly from the same area of England that my father's from. It's the cheapest, rubbiest meat. It's basically polony with a different name. Um, and we always knew there's Cornish as well. There's meant to be some on my mother's side. The Cornish aren't actually English. They're another group of Celtic people. But here it's sort of listed as being in England. We'll get to that in a minute because there's something interesting. Although my mother might be Cornish, she has some Cornish in her. I know that because she's talked about that. The other one is the guy who was running that big mine that I was talking about, the big gold mine. His wife was Cornish. And that's very well established, although it's not 100% established where he's from, but it seems as though he might be English himself. Scottish, I thought there might be about 10%. Yeah, he's not 36, but it turns out my mother is not so much Irish after all. 21% Irish. And Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian. So that's a little bit strange because that's North European. But we're actually thinking it might actually be East Scotland because as a lot of you know, the Vikings come in, and I don't know if it was around 1200 or 1300 or whatever. They had their own villages and even some on little islands in the east of Scotland and a few on the coast of the east of Scotland. And they sort of stayed around the East Scottish coast in certain pockets there. And it looks like they've managed to define Scottish by certain clans that, Highland clans, West Scottish clans, ones that didn't have anything to do with Vikings, as being straight Scottish here. And then the ones that had Viking influence, it turns out you got a little bit of Swedish and Norwegian. But I'm going to flip to the parents one. And we believe my dad's mother's father had an English name, but the name turns out to be from the very north of England, and 80% of the people with that name are actually lowland Scottish, not at all English. And it turns out that it looks like he's been one of them, because if my dad's all English, why the hell is this not 50%? Well, his last name was a North English last name that's actually held by 80% of the people with that last name are actually lowland Scottish. So anyway, I'll flip to the parents one. And here we go here. This really knocks it around. So there's my sister on the end as you. There's my mother on the parent one, and my father is parent two. So English, and this doesn't show each, it's 50%, 50%. So 37%, a lot of it there, my father is quite English. And 11% Scottish and 2% Norwegian. Now that's ours, so he would actually be 4% Norwegian, 22% Scottish, and 74% English by the looks. That's probably making sense. And my mother, the Cornish, the Cornwall, yeah, well, maybe they weren't exactly Cornish. Maybe they were from that area. Maybe it's just considered Celtic, so it doesn't come up as England and English, because the Cornish are a Celtic group that sort of happen to end up in the middle of England. And the Welsh are also Celts, and they sort of happen to end up in the southwest. But they're sort of still trying to technically be their own country while taking plenty of tax dollars because they're the poorest area of the United Kingdom, and there's sort of the United Kingdom, but they want to be their own country, but please pay our welfare checks. Things are not good money-wise in Wales. Anyway, what do you know? 4% Swedish Danish, which would be in the 25% Scottish. So my mum is literally 50% Scottish and 8% Viking. And it seems 42% Irish. So there you go. That's intriguing. So we can sort of ascertain from this that the Scottish in us, in both my mother and my father, in both cases, were in the east of Scotland that had some Viking influence or Viking, bred into the local Scottish populace. So that's very interesting. No fucking Spanish anywhere. No Basque anywhere. This should be coming up that my mum is 1/16th Basque. And it's just nothing. It's not even listed. So yeah, there you go. I'm as white as they come, with some Viking in me. So doesn't that knock you flat on your ass? English, Scottish, Irish, Viking. That's it.